I can introduce the Great Scott Theatre Company.
They say that Robert Burns was the stuff of legend. A man so talented that many years down the line we'll still be celebrating his work. We'll still be reciting his poems and singing his songs. They say he was a true patriot, a man who reminded the Scottish people of the majestic beauty of their country's land and women. Yes, among his many passions, none shone so brightly as his passion for the lassies. Or so I've been told.
When I think of you, heart's the best, mind's the noblest of humankind. Unfortunate even in the shades of life. When I think I have met with you and have lived more of a real life with you in 8 days than I can do with anybody I meet with in 8 years. And I think of the improbability of meeting you in this world again, I could sit down and cry like a child.
You loved him, didn't you?
The tender thrill, the pitying tear, the generous purpose, nobly dear, the gentle look that reached his arms, these are all immortal charms.
So, can I ask why you're asking questions about Robert?
Certainly. I'm writing an article on Burns and I'd like to speak to some of the women he knew. From what I've read, you had quite an influence on him.
Well, we did share a special friendship for quite some time. I'll be willing to answer your questions, Mr. McEwan, but provided that they are appropriate questions, and you're not intending to portray Robert as a womanising drunk, as many have done before you.
I can assure you, Mrs. McElhose, I'm simply looking for insight into his work and life. If at any point I see anything inappropriate, please let me know.
If I don't see you again, I shall not rest in my grave for chagrin. I'm determined to cultivate your friendship with the enthusiasm of religion. It's terrible to think it, but well, the accident was both a curse and a blessing. It kept Robert in Edinburgh, you see. I mean, otherwise he'd have been away back to Ayrshire. Us having met once, perhaps twice. To think I was so close to not knowing him. I can hardly bear to think of it. It was a month before Robert was well enough to visit. When he left, I felt like we'd known each other for years. He spoke about his childhood, about Ayrshire, about Jean. He was such a fascinating character. I resolved that I would do everything in my power to maintain our acquaintance.
suppose we should start at the beginning. Can you tell me about your first meeting with Burns?
Well, don't think you can just sit there doing nothing, Mr. McEwen.
Can't be.
If you're going to take up my time, you better be prepared to get your hands dirty.
Of course. Give me pleasure.
Well, we first met in my home village of Mauchline. I was spreading clothes in a bleaching game with some of the girls when his wee dog ran onto my clothes. I was angry, so I scolded the dog and threw something at it. Robert looked at me and said, "Lassie, if you thought out of me, you wouldn't hurt my dog." I remember thinking to myself, I wouldn't think much of you at any rate. We met again later at a dance and we got well acquainted.
And what were your first impressions of him?
Oh, he was a charmer, was my Robert. Always ready with a compliment. He called me the jewel of the Mauchline Bells. Who wouldn't fall for such a gentleman? He was always fond of a song and dance as well, and I like to think I had a decent talent for both. I could hold my own in conversations in music and poetry, and I could tell Robert liked me for that. Almost everything he ever composed was written in verse. But with such a gifted hand, there was rarely anything I could offer by the way of criticism. I remember one of his earliest poems referring to me. "My darling Jean, it warms me, it charms me to mention but her name. It heats me and beats me and sets me on a flame." For all his brashness, he was a sentimental man, was my Rob. Never known a man with a greater heart.
I'm truly sorry for your loss.
Thank you, son. My husband would have liked you.
It's clear to me now, and I must admit to being ashamed of my dismissive attitude. These three remarkable women have shown me the significance of Burns. Through his poems and songs, he created a body of work that made palpable the overwhelming emotion of true love. He appreciated women for their character, their refinement, and their wit. They fueled his romantic, passionate nature. Without them, his greatest work would not exist.